You said about the mania. I think people can understand what it's like to feel energetic and also extremely tired, but I don't think people have a concept. I might be wrong, but I don't think people understand what that is or what that means in terms of how it would affect your actions and then how it feels. So would you be able to explain that?
First of all, I invite people to know the rhythm. At least in my case, I have my mania works according to the calendar. My mania in its wildest form comes to me around May, the month of May, and stay until September. And what I have learned that my mania is connected to the sun, the light, the summer, okay? And almost like the weather ignites my mania. Then one thing that I invite people to do is to try to know themselves. Because I think if you look carefully, you begin to detect patterns, okay, in your mania. Then I know around May that I had to be extra careful. Okay, and for those months of the summer, and I was arrested during the summer, I check myself. Okay, I am self-aware, and after so many years, there are certain things I do which tell me mania is here. I give you an example. I begin inventing words. Something I did in the words of my mania. I created my own language. And that's part, by the way, of grandiosity. You speak a language others don't. You have control. You create reality through your own language. Then when May comes, and if I say something strange, my wife already knows and says, okay, what's going on here? Okay. Then now, as I said, mania is seductive. During before I took medication and I was wrongly medicated, I was sleeping, like I said, 3 hours a night. I woke up with energy. I was writing 3 books at the same time. I was getting to my office earlier than anybody else and leaving later than anybody else. I felt full of energy, but by the same token, I was losing weight. Okay, I was irritated, had lack of judgment. I would not listen to anybody, but I was euphoric at the same time. I have also manic depressive episodes in which I would be in a roller coaster of being very high and then very low, in mixed episodes. But I read biographies about people with mental illnesses, and there is a commonality of falling in love with the mania. Falling in love. I mean, like, who wouldn't like a lot of energy? To be upbeat. I mean, who, okay? And to be super creative, okay? And wake up in the morning and sleep less and achieve more. Okay.
Sounds a little bit like when you use words like euphoric and the extra energy and everything, it sounds a little bit like it would be taking some form of drug, which in the short term would be really beneficial, but in the long term is going to be detrimental to you. Is it like some sort of drug?
I think that is a good analogy. I think it's a very good analogy. You're hooked to it. You're hooked to your mania. Certainly until you get to know yourself. And unfortunately, sometimes you get to know yourself and you crash. It takes some time. The good thing would be to avoid crashing and learn about yourself in a productive way. But in my case, I really had to go through a traumatic experience to begin the process of self-awareness. But until you get to self-awareness, you're not even reflective about having the mania. You are in the mania. Then differently from a drug, I may say, you don't take it. Okay, it comes from inside out. then it's very difficult to detect, because it's like you are immersed in the mania. It becomes who you are. And but yes, it's pure seduction. It's and you don't want to give it up, and you want more of it.
So if there is someone who is listening to this and they're saying that's a bit like me, meaning they haven't had the burnout, but they enjoy the mania, or perhaps they don't use those words, but they're in a similar position in the sense that maybe they're sleeping a few hours a night, they've got loads of energy, and they enjoy that process. What would you say to them in terms of advice?
Okay, look. First of all, I am a believer on having a team that helps you. I like the analogy of when you see a car race, and they stop by the side and they change the tires and they put the gas, and they have this team, that cares about you, and you need a team around mental illness. Okay, my team is my therapist, to whom I see weekly. I go to a psychiatrist an average of once a month to see that things are okay. I go to the gym daily. Okay, we know today from studies that communities are tremendously important. I have a religious community that I belong to. There are other kind of communities like groups, okay? And people who care for you, your family and friends should know, okay, the ones you trust, who you are, and should be a sounding board for you. Then you put that team in place and you take your medication, then you have a high chance of managing, okay? I say high chance because there are different degrees, and I don't want to imply that somebody who doesn't get better doing this is a failure, okay? Each story is very different. But the challenge is, as I said, when you're in it, then it's very difficult to break the cycle and do something. But this is what I would say. Even in the worst mania, and even in the worst depression, there are moments in which you regain control. I call them the sparks. There are sparks moments, okay? There are moments, and I had moments. There were moments in which I show my badge to people, and at some point I said, what they've done, okay? And that's why I take full responsibility, okay? Because there were moments of awareness, okay? You are not 24/7 on the mania of depression, okay? On those moments, you need to take full advantage of those moments. Full advantage to talk with people who care about you. Full advantage of making a phone call to your insurance and get an appointment with a therapist. Okay. Then there are like moments. They're very short sometimes. Okay. But they are the greatest opportunity we have. Okay, then, and usually what we do in those moments, Thomas, is we fall into denial, either because we want the mania to come back, or because we don't want to think anymore about problems. We want to dwell in the comfort of those moments of peace. Okay, and then we look the other way. But those are the moments to look straight on the eyes of the situation and to try to do something on that window of opportunity.